Every 40 seconds, someone suffers a stroke. For older adults, especially those over 60, the risk is dramatically higher. And while many people know about obvious risk factors like smoking or high blood pressure, far fewer realize that everyday foods, familiar items sitting in their kitchens, may be quietly fueling the danger. The shocking truth is that what we eat plays a direct role in stroke risk. Certain foods stiffen arteries, raise blood pressure, and trigger clots. Others flood the body with sugars and chemicals that damage blood vessels and starve the brain of oxygen. These aren't exotic or rare items, they're the staples many seniors eat every single day, believing them to be harmless or even healthy. Think about that cup of instant noodles for a quick lunch, the processed meat slices in your sandwich, or the sugary drink you reach for on a hot afternoon. These simple, routine choices may seem small in the moment, but over time, they create the perfect storm for a stroke. And the most frightening part? The damage is often silent. There's no pain as arteries clog. There's no warning as pressure builds. Then, suddenly, one morning or afternoon, a blood vessel in the brain bursts, or a clot blocks circulation, and life is changed forever. But here's the good news: awareness is power. By understanding which foods are most dangerous for seniors, you can take action, make smarter choices, and dramatically reduce your risk. In today's video, we'll expose the everyday foods that quietly increase stroke risk in people over 60. These are foods you need to know about, avoid, or replace, because your health, your independence, and even your memory depend on it. To understand why certain foods raise the risk of stroke, we first need to look at what a stroke actually is. A stroke occurs when blood flow to the brain is interrupted, either because a clot blocks an artery, ischemic stroke, or because a blood vessel bursts, hemorrhagic stroke. In both cases, brain cells are deprived of oxygen and nutrients, and within minutes, they begin to die. The effects can be devastating: paralysis, speech difficulties, memory loss, or even death. So how do foods influence this risk? The answer lies in three key mechanisms: blood pressure, cholesterol, and inflammation. Blood pressure. High blood pressure is the single biggest risk factor for stroke. When pressure inside the artery stays elevated, the artery walls weaken and become more prone to rupture. At the same time, narrow, stiff arteries make it easier for clots to form and block blood flow. Foods high in sodium, like processed meats, canned soups, and salty snacks, are notorious for raising blood pressure by forcing the body to hold on to water. More water in the bloodstream means higher volume and more pressure against artery walls. Cholesterol and plaque buildup. Cholesterol itself isn't the enemy, but when LDL, bad cholesterol, oxidizes, it sticks to artery walls, forming plaque. Over time, this narrows the arteries, a condition called atherosclerosis. Narrow arteries make it easier for clots to form, and if a clot breaks loose, it can travel to the brain, causing a stroke. Foods high in trans fats, saturated fats, and refined oils accelerate this process, even when they're disguised as healthy options. Inflammation and oxidative stress. Chronic inflammation is another silent driver of stroke risk. When blood vessels are constantly irritated by sugar, chemical additives, or unhealthy fats, they become more fragile. Oxidative stress, caused by unstable molecules called free radicals, further damages artery walls. This combination creates weak, inflamed vessels prone to rupture. Sweetened drinks, pastries, and processed snacks feed this cycle of inflammation. Another important factor is blood sugar regulation. Consistently high blood sugar damages blood vessels and nerves, increasing the risk of stroke. Foods like sugary juices, white bread, and processed snacks may seem harmless, but for seniors, they accelerate vascular aging. Finally, consider nutrient imbalance. Foods that are low in protective nutrients like potassium, magnesium, and fiber but high in sodium and sugar create the perfect storm. Potassium, found in fruits and vegetables, helps relax arteries and counteracts sodium's effect. But many familiar processed foods strip away these nutrients, leaving only the harmful components behind. In summary, the science is simple but sobering. Foods rich in sodium, sugar, unhealthy fats, and chemical additives directly attack the cardiovascular system. They raise pressure, clog arteries, weaken vessel walls, and increase the chance of clots. For someone over 60, whose arteries are already less flexible, the risks multiply. The good news is that once you identify these foods, you can begin replacing them with better alternatives. Awareness allows seniors to shift from unknowingly feeding the problem to actively protecting their brain and heart. In the next section, we'll move from science to story, showing how one senior's everyday eating habits nearly led to disaster, and how simple changes made all the difference. Let's meet Harold, a 65-year-old retired bus driver from Illinois. Harold had always considered himself relatively healthy. He didn't drink heavily, he never smoked, and he wasn't overweight. In fact, he thought he was making smart choices with his diet. For breakfast, he often ate instant oatmeal packets or a bowl of heart-healthy cereal with juice. Lunch usually meant a turkey sandwich with deli meat, paired with a cup of canned vegetable soup. Dinner might be pasta with jarred sauce, followed by a slice of whole-grain bread. On weekends, he liked to treat himself to microwave popcorn or a sports drink after mowing the lawn. From Harold's perspective, this was a responsible diet, simple, convenient, and not loaded with obvious junk food. But what he didn't realize was that many of these harmless foods were fueling a silent storm in his arteries. The cereal and juice delivered a massive sugar load, spiking his blood sugar and inflaming his vessels. The deli meats and canned soup packed his body with sodium, steadily raising his blood pressure. The jarred pasta sauce and microwave popcorn added even more hidden salt and unhealthy oils. At first, Harold ignored the warning signs. Occasional headaches, dizziness when standing, and moments of blurred vision seemed like just part of getting older. But one afternoon, while walking home from the park, he suddenly felt his right arm go numb and his speech slur. Luckily, a passerby recognized the signs of a stroke and called for help immediately. Harold survived, but the scare was life-changing. At the hospital, his doctors explained that his arteries were dangerously stiff and partially blocked. His blood pressure had been consistently high for years, and his diet, those seemingly safe foods, was one of the biggest culprits. Determined not to go through it again, Harold worked with a nutritionist. He swapped packaged cereals for plain oats with berries, replaced deli meats with grilled chicken or beans, and traded canned soups for fresh vegetable stews he could prepare at home. Instead of juice and sports drinks, he began drinking water with lemon or herbal tea. Within months, his blood pressure improved, his energy returned, and his doctors told him he had significantly lowered his risk of another stroke. Harold's story is a sobering reminder: stroke risk isn't always about the obvious bad habits. Sometimes, it's the everyday foods we trust the most that quietly cause the most harm. In the next section, we'll expose the specific foods, common, familiar items, that raise stroke risk for adults over 60, so you'll know exactly what to watch for. When we think of stroke risk, we often picture cigarettes, alcohol, or obvious junk food. But the truth is, many seniors face the greatest danger from foods they consider safe, even healthy. These everyday staples may look harmless on the outside, but inside the body they silently raise blood pressure, clog arteries, and set the stage for stroke. Let's reveal the biggest culprits. Food 1: processed meats, deli meats, sausages, hot dogs. Processed meats are among the most dangerous foods for seniors. Even when labeled as lean or low-fat, they're loaded with sodium and nitrates. Sodium pushes blood pressure higher by forcing the body to retain fluid, while nitrates damage blood vessel linings, making arteries more prone to plaque and clots. A simple turkey sandwich with deli slices may seem innocent, but it can deliver half a day's sodium in one meal. Regular consumption is strongly linked to higher stroke risk. Food 2. Canned soups and packaged broths. Soups feel comforting, but canned versions are often sodium bombs. A single serving can contain 700 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and most people eat the whole can, doubling that amount. This constant sodium overload stiffens arteries and raises blood pressure, two direct stroke risk factors. Even reduced sodium options often remain too high for seniors. Homemade soups with fresh vegetables and herbs are far safer. Food 3. White bread, pasta, and refined grains. Refined grains, like white bread, white pasta, and many packaged baked goods, strip away fiber and nutrients. Without fiber, blood sugar spikes quickly, damaging blood vessels and fueling inflammation. High blood sugar also leads to insulin resistance, which doubles stroke risk. Seniors often believe that whole grain labels are always safe, but many whole grain products are still heavily processed with added sugars and salts. Choosing truly whole foods like oats, brown rice, and quinoa makes a real difference. Food 4. Sugary drinks, fruit juice, soda, sports drinks. Sugary beverages are a hidden danger for older adults. A single glass of fruit juice can contain as much sugar as a soda. Without fiber, the sugar rushes into the bloodstream, spiking blood sugar and straining arteries. Over time, this damages vessel walls, raises triglycerides, and fuels plaque buildup. Sports drinks and flavored waters marketed as healthy are often just sugar water with extra sodium, exactly the wrong combination for stroke prevention. Food 5. Packaged, healthy snacks, granola bars, flavored yogurt, low-fat products. These products appear heart-friendly but often hide sugar, sodium, or artificial additives. Granola bars can contain multiple syrups and oils that cause blood sugar spikes. Low-fat yogurts often replace fat with added sugar, which is just as harmful for arteries. Over time, these foods inflame blood vessels and quietly raise the risk of stroke, even as they're marketed as nutritious. Plain yogurt with fresh fruit or unsalted nuts are much safer alternatives. Food 6. Fried foods and fast food. Though many seniors cut back on fried foods, occasional indulgence can still cause harm. Fried chicken, French fries, onion rings, or fast food breakfasts are cooked in oils that break down into toxic compounds at high heat. These oxidized fats inflame artery walls and accelerate atherosclerosis. Combined with high sodium, fried foods create the perfect storm for stroke risk. Food 7. Instant noodles and convenience meals. Instant noodles are a favorite for quick meals, but they're loaded with sodium, preservatives, and refined carbs. A single packet often exceeds daily sodium limits. For seniors, that sodium surge can spike blood pressure dangerously within hours. Frozen dinners and convenience meals are similar. They're easy but deliver hidden salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats that strain arteries. Food 8. Baked goods and pastries. Donuts, cakes, muffins, and pies. Many older adults enjoy these as occasional treats, but the combination of refined flour, sugar, and trans fats makes them dangerous. They raise blood sugar, damage vessels, and add unhealthy fats that worsen cholesterol. Even reduced fat, or sugar-free, baked goods often rely on artificial additives that still harm arteries. Food 9. Processed cheese and cheese spreads. Cheese in moderation can be part of a healthy diet, but processed cheeses and spreads are another story. They're filled with sodium, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. Seniors who snack on cheese slices or spreads daily are unknowingly raising their blood pressure and stroke risk. Natural cheeses in small amounts are safer, but processed versions should be avoided. Food 10. Alcohol in excess. While moderate red wine has been linked to heart benefits, excess alcohol of any type increases blood pressure, weakens arteries, and raises the risk of both ischemic and hemorrhagic stroke. For seniors, even moderate drinking can interact with medications, amplifying stroke risk. The safest choice is moderation, or, for many, complete avoidance. The bigger picture. All of these foods share common threads: high sodium, hidden sugars, unhealthy fats, and heavy processing. They don't trigger immediate pain, which is why so many seniors underestimate the risk. But over years, they inflame arteries, raise pressure, and fuel the exact conditions that lead to stroke. The hopeful news is that replacing these foods with whole, natural alternatives, fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats, can dramatically reduce risk. For adults over 60, every smart swap is an investment in more years of independence, clarity, and vitality. In the next section, we'll turn the focus to you. Which of these foods are part of your daily routine, and which ones are you ready to let go of? Now it's time to reflect. We've just uncovered a list of everyday foods that may seem harmless: processed meats, canned soups, instant noodles, sugary drinks, pastries, even certain healthy snacks, but in reality, they quietly increase the risk of stroke. So here's the question for you: which of these foods are sitting in your kitchen right now? Think about your last week. Did you grab a quick bowl of instant noodles? Pour yourself a glass of fruit juice? Snack on a granola bar or flavored yogurt? Or maybe you enjoyed a deli sandwich, not realizing how much sodium it packed. Sometimes, the most dangerous foods are the ones we eat without thinking. The ones that have become routine. That's why awareness is so powerful. Once you see the hidden risks, you can begin making better choices, choices that protect your heart, your brain, and your independence. Here's my challenge to you: choose just one food from this list that you'll cut back on starting today. Maybe it's replacing canned soup with a homemade version. Maybe it's swapping soda for water with lemon. Or maybe it's saying no to deli meats and choosing fresh chicken or beans instead. I'd love to hear from you. Which food will you replace first? Share your answer in the comments below. Your decision might inspire someone else to take the same step, and together, we can create a ripple of healthier choices for seniors everywhere. Knowing which foods raise stroke risk is only half the battle. The real victory comes when we replace them with smarter, heart-friendly, brain-protective alternatives. The good news is that you don't have to give up flavor or convenience, you simply need to swap the dangerous for the nourishing. Start with proteins. Instead of deli meats, hot dogs, or sausages, choose fresh chicken, fish, or beans. Grilled salmon, baked chicken breast, or a simple lentil soup provides protein without the sodium and preservatives that inflame arteries. Beans and legumes also add fiber, which lowers cholesterol and supports steady circulation. For grains, skip white bread and refined pasta. Whole foods like oats, brown rice, quinoa, or whole grain bread with minimal ingredients deliver fiber and nutrients that stabilize blood sugar and keep arteries flexible. A bowl of steel-cut oats with fruit in the morning is far safer than a sugary cereal. When it comes to beverages, ditch soda, juice, and sports drinks. Water should be your go-to, but for variety, try herbal teas or water infused with lemon, cucumber, or berries. These hydrate and deliver antioxidants without the sugar spikes that stress blood vessels. Soups and meals can also be improved. Instead of canned soups or frozen dinners, batch cook your own. A pot of vegetable soup with carrots, celery, tomatoes, and beans can be frozen into portions and reheated when needed, just as convenient, but far healthier. You control the salt, the flavor, and the nutrients. For snacks, replace granola bars and pastries with whole fruit, raw vegetables, or unsalted nuts. An apple with almond butter or a handful of walnuts not only satisfies hunger but also delivers nutrients that directly lower stroke risk. If you crave yogurt, choose plain Greek yogurt and add your own fruit for sweetness. And finally, be mindful of salt. Many seniors add extra salt out of habit. Train your taste buds to enjoy herbs, spices, garlic, and lemon as natural flavor boosters. This small change can drastically lower sodium intake without sacrificing taste. The integrated solution isn't about strict dieting, it's about awareness and consistency. By gradually replacing harmful foods with nourishing ones, you lower your stroke risk, improve blood pressure, and strengthen your brain. Remember, every meal is an opportunity to either increase or decrease your risk. Choose wisely, and your arteries will thank you. We've reached the end of today's video, and the message is clear: stroke doesn't only come from obvious bad habits like smoking or drinking. It can be fueled, day after day, by the foods we trust most. Processed meats, canned soups, refined grains, sugary drinks, and even so-called healthy snacks, all of these familiar choices can silently raise blood pressure, stiffen arteries, and increase the risk of stroke, especially for those over 60. But here's the good news: you are not powerless. With awareness comes choice, and with choice comes change. Replacing instant noodles with a homemade meal, swapping soda for water, or choosing fresh chicken over deli meats, these may feel like small decisions, but over time, they build a powerful shield against stroke. So here's my challenge for you: take a look in your kitchen today. Which of these risky foods are hiding in your pantry or fridge? And more importantly, which one will you commit to removing first? Share your answer in the comments below. Your step might inspire someone else to take the same action. If this video gave you value, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're here to bring science-based advice designed especially for older adults who want to live longer, stronger, and sharper. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a future video. And please, share this video with a loved one, because knowledge like this could save a life. Remember, every bite is either feeding disease or fueling health. Choose the foods that protect your brain, your arteries, and your future.